hopeful time, but it can also be a really hard time. And so I think that having music that provides you with that time to be with God, that provides that space for your own relationship with Him, that's our motivation in a lot of what we do. So when I was looking at the original material, I was very much trying to create using inspiration from songs. So Waiting for the Dawn, for example, takes lyrics from other Christmas songs and weaves them in, but hopefully in a way that brings a new message to the surface.
Silent night, holy night, long lay the world waiting for the dawn.
Sometimes the music starts with sounds or a soundscape, or with even a kind of a synthesizer riff or whatever it is, and we're starting from a different place, and then we're like, okay, we have this 2 or 3 minute soundscape. Could we actually work a song into that in an interesting way? So actually the opening of our O Holy Night version, that whole opening wasn't created specifically for O Holy Night when we started it, but it's there. And then we were like, oh, you know what? We could start bringing in some of those lyrics and some of those phrases. Especially with our latest album, the soundscape aspect, the field recordings even, became a really essential part of the process. We really wanted to bring in the sounds of Hong Kong into the record in some way, and we didn't know quite how. I mean, some of them honestly ended up kind of by accident. In that, Hong Kong is a noisy place, and we were living in an apartment which was pretty noisy, and so at one stage we actually intentionally were like, okay, we'll open up the windows and we'll just put the mic on and we'll record this. And you end up with a vocal performance and some of the sounds, and it just kind of brings in that just flavour of where you're at physically in one place. But then we also wanted to bring in things like in the opening song, in Gabriel's message, there are sounds of Causeway Bay, and people crossing the road and traffic lights and traffic passing by, and you were just like, okay, we're going to anchor it in the city. And it's not specifically Hong Kong as such, but it is like we are in the city here, but we're also in the season of Advent, and there is still beauty in that. And so it's that kind of juxtaposition of, in some ways harsh city sounds with, smooth, beautiful ambient music, which I think is kind of in some ways quite unique, but also really just an interesting place to anchor an experience of Christmas in.
And I think on top of that, the relevance of Christmas comes through because you have the soundscapes and the field recordings, and it's a reminder that Christmas is not just something that happened 2,000 years ago. It is something that happens all the time, but especially we remember it every year. And so this idea that this hope is there for us on an annual basis, but also on a daily basis, I think is the heart behind Advent. That wherever we are, things don't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be your quintessentially Swedish hallmark white Christmas for Christmas to exist and for God to come and dwell with us. Well, I think for most of the world, Christmas in 2020 is going to be a Christmas like no other. It's going to be the kind of Christmas that you tell your grandkids about. And I think we brace ourselves to know that Christmas this year won't be the same. And I think my heart really goes out to people who already struggle with Christmas, already struggle with the concept that life is hard. It's not this idyllic Christmas, but we are in this time of waiting. We are in this time of saying, okay, God, we need you to show up. We need you to come and dwell with us as you promised that you would, and you did. And God, we need you again. And so for me, more than ever, maybe this Christmas can be more meaningful and reach more people who don't know the message of Jesus and the miracle of him coming to earth. And so that is just my hope and prayer. And if our music can do that in some small way, then I'm happy.